Hi Jeff, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Jane. How are you?
Well, I'm good, but I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them my story and what happened to me, and they said, "Oh my goodness, how awful!" But didn't you go to isn't there something you can go to about that? Like the financial ombudsman, or and they must have looked at my face and gone, "Oh, okay." Yeah, so who did you go to when you realized that there was something very wrong going on with the closure of your company and your personal guarantee and evicting you?
Okay, well, our company wasn't tiny, it was actually a quoted company. So the first person I went to was the London Stock Exchange, because all the shareholders obviously lost money and got nowhere with that. And all the other people I visited, I sort of put into Rudy Viz's speech. If you got it handy in front of you, maybe you can read them out.
Oh, hold on a minute. Let me see if I can get it. You went to your MP.
Yes, and Rudy was absolutely brilliant. And
Mm,
Rudy got this debate that you're reading from on the
yeah.
7th of May, 1999. And basically, he tried as hard as he could. And the minister took it away and said, we will study this closely. So I thought that's all I had to do. But 1999 was how many years ago?
Mm, yeah, long
And
time ago.
still it's going on. In fact, today, David Fabb, who has been doing it about the same length of time as I have, is 90.
Mm.
So it seems if you've got the strength, you keep on going. And I have promised David this morning that we try and get it finished by the time he hits 100.
It says here that you took it to the Bank of England. Yes, which said,
Yeah,
and the Bank of England said, oh, they didn't say, no, you haven't got a case. They said, this should be dealt with by the banking ombudsman. And then when the ombudsman heard that your turnover was more than 1 million, they said, oh, it needs to be heard by the Bank of England. And the Bank of England then said, you've got to go to the Financial Services Authority, the FSA, as it was then. And the FSA bounced you back. And they said, as they said to everybody, oh, we don't consider individual cases. Of course they do, and but on the other hand, there weren't individual cases. There were lots of people like this. So then you had to go back to the Bank of England because the FSA told you to, and then the Bank of England wouldn't comment. Am I right?
okay. What's pretty consistent around all this is two names, Andrew Bailey. Andrew Bailey is in the news at the moment, but at the time of my first hearing, he was at the Bank of England. So he went from the Bank of England to the FCA or FSA, and then is now the governor of the Bank of England. So I have been through it all. Andrew Bailey, I think, knows my case quite well. It was handled while he was at the FCA by a gentleman called Greg Choice, and Greg seems to have disappeared.
He disappeared into thin air.
Well, possibly yes, but out to the ether somewhere. Maybe he's living where Andrew Bailey is going to live.
Um, I've
Jane, we got
seen Greg Choice on LinkedIn, and it says that he's working for the Financial Conduct Authority, I think.
he's been doing that for about 25 years.
Hmm.
I think there's a picture of him up there. How would you like to bring it up to date what he possibly looks like?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how old the picture is, but I think that he could possibly look something like this. But I mean, I'd be a bit worried about him if he just disappeared um, into thin air, and I hope he's all right.
I hope he's all right as well, because I'm trying to get some questions asked of him,
Mm,
because he actually not only was he looking at my case, but he handled it himself in court, and he had to ask special permission of the judge to do that. And obviously he knew what he was doing, and I didn't have the foggiest idea in those days.
No, that's very strange. Very strange that he should do that.
Yes. Okay, Jane, who did you take yours to?
Well, I took it to the bank complaints people, the custom relations people, who now I know it's a tactic. They delay, first of all, they will take 6 weeks, maybe 2 months to answer. And then they deny, and then they obfuscate, which is passing it from pillar to post, from department to one department to another department. You never get the same person twice. You always have to explain it all over again. And in the end, it just goes nowhere. And then I went to the banking ombudsman, and I went to the FSA at the time, and then the FCA. I also complained to the Institute of Accountants, but the ICAEW, about the bankruptcy trustee. I complained to probably every authority I could, and I was passed from pillar to post, and I was given excuses every time. There was nobody that was going to help me, and it seems to me, with hindsight, it's obvious it's a tactic and a policy.
I also went to the ICAEW. I had years and years with them over what is a no prima facie case, which is a term they're not meant to use. And I think the only tactic that we have to beat these bastards is to follow David's fab and carry on into our 90s.
I won't be carrying on into my 90s. We'll have done it by then, Jeff. Because I've got on your where the people that you went to, it says that the Department of Trade and Industry, and I believe the FCA, said it wasn't in the public interest to look at your case. Am I right?
Well, basically, if we looked at my case then, the public interest would be very busy, very different, because we'd have several thousand people not evicted and several thousand SMEs still trading.
Yeah.
And boy, do we need them at the moment.
We do.